So here I am. I decided I'm gonna can another batch of tomatoes. So I decided to take out the frozen San Marzano that I put in the freezer on the second, and I'm gonna let them defrost overnight. And hopefully, if the videos I've watched are correct, that they will peel easily. And I have a few more fresh ones, so I'll boil them tomorrow morning, and then once I peel these, I'll add them all to a sauce, and I'll do updates on videos with it, so stay tuned for all my tomatoes. So it's the next day, and I'm just boiling some of the tomatoes from our garden I picked yesterday and this morning. And from last night, the tomatoes that were frozen are defrosted, so now I'm just going to go through them and take the skins off and the stems and just make sure that they're good to go. And I'll put them, probably leave them on the pan until these are ready to be peeled, and then I'll put them in a pot to boil for the sauce. So this is the end amount I got for the sauce with all those tomatoes. I definitely next time am gonna just freeze all the tomatoes I collect and then do a huge batch at the end, just because this is very time consuming. So it's kind of not worth it when you're only getting 2 or 3 jars of the tomatoes. So next time I'll freeze them, since I didn't notice a difference at all between the frozen tomatoes and the tomatoes that were freshly boiled. Like the texture and consistency were exactly the same to me. So I think it'll be fine just doing it frozen now on, and not like worrying about collecting a bunch at once. So now I'm gonna start my sauce. So I've never made tomato sauce before. The last time I did this, Dave helped me do the tomato sauce part, so I'm kind of just gonna wing it. Okay, so now that I have the pot on the burner, I'm gonna add some tomato paste, because it'll help make it a thicker consistency, since tomatoes are super watery, especially since I had ones that were frozen. I think that should be enough. If anything, I can always add more because this has to simmer for an hour anyway. So I'm gonna add pepper and salt. Keep our basil in the freezer. So this is our fresh basil from our previous video. Oh, I love the smell of basil. And I put it in the freezer because it keeps the smell fresher longer. Add some garlic powder. Onion powder. So I just funneled the tomatoes that I cooked into the mason jars, and unfortunately it only made 2.5 jars for me to can, and I can't can half a jar, so that's just going to be dinner a night this week. which isn't a big deal. It's just now having to just can 2 tomatoes, like boil the water and do that canning process of it. It's time consuming for just 2 jars. That's why I said next time I'm just gonna freeze a bunch so I have a bunch to do at once. But I'll still do it, you know. I'm still happy because it's 2 jars I didn't have before and tomatoes that didn't go bad. So now I'm just wiping the rims of the tomatoes just because I want to make sure that no tomato will be on them. So when I seal them, it's a sterile seal. And I'm just gonna put a dry paper towel, just make sure it's all dry around it. The jars are very hot, so I'm trying not to hold them really. Okay, I'm very happy with how awesome. And we'll deal with that third one in a bit. So these are new tops with rings that I got from my mother-in-law. Not that they were used, so that's why they're in a plastic bag. I just got them from her. So now I can seal it. Make sure it's all the way. It's hot. Okay. This I'm gonna just put here for now. Deal with that in a little bit. And now I'm gonna go get my canning pot. So now I'm just filling the pot with lukewarm water. It's easier to fill it just with a pitcher going back and forth to the sink rather than filling the whole container and trying to lift it onto the stove. Now that I got the water about 1 to 2 inches above the canning jars, in this altitude it has to boil for 25 to 30 minutes. That's not including sitting in the hot water. It means just straight from the boil. So once it's finished, I'll take it out and let it rest and it'll be done. So thanks for watching me can tomatoes.